Hey guys, and welcome back to another video, or if you're new here, I am Genevieve. I am not normally this hype, but we're gonna be trying to make our very own DIY anime bucket hat because apparently now we're just like an anime channel. I'm not complaining about it though. Just for a second. Can I get some commotion on the fit? Like, cute little harness, nice little like custom painted easy thing that I did. Track pants, yeah, but we're just like not gonna talk about it. The rest of it, can I get some commotion for the fit? Thank you. Alright, but back to what we're actually doing today. Like I said, we're going to be creating our very own DIY anime bucket hat because I've been seeing a lot of like manga inspired anime clothing things, and I'm that type of person that's like, if you can make it, I could probably make it too. So I haven't tried this, but because I'm a bit of a crafty bitch, like if you can make it, I can make it, you know, I'm gonna give it a shot. So anyway, without further ado, let's get straight into it. The first thing we're gonna need is a pattern. I found this one on Pinterest. I'll try and link it down below if I can figure out how to do that. Pretty much it comes with its, I cut it off, it's that. Comes with its own sizing guide, so you'll be able to like match it up perfectly. A lot of patterns really falter in that area because they'll draw out the pattern and then they don't give you a sizing guide, so you can't actually size up the pattern, which makes it entirely useless. But this one is hopefully perfect. From what I can see, it's perfect to use, but we're gonna go ahead and cut. Side note for this piece here, it's got like a fold here because they for some reason put it on two different bits of paper, but I managed to fit onto one. So if you manage to fit it on one like me, just ignore that line there because you don't need it. Another thing about patterns that I don't like is I don't know if this is with or without a seam allowance. When I cut this out, I'm going to make sure to add like a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Cool. Another note is for the brim, I fit it again onto one page instead of trying to print it over two. So where those like dotted lines are, you're going to tape those together like this. That's our brim. We also want to keep our work area tidy, so make sure to throw out any rubbish as you go. Once you've got all your patterns cut out, it's time to be putting it onto the fabric. The pattern I cut out is super useful because on it, it says how many pieces you need to cut out. You've got to cut out one side for the actual side and then one side for the lining. You can add a layer of interfacing if you want as well to make it a little bit stiffer. Viewer discretion advised. Right, once you've cut out all your patterns, it's time to start laying them down on the fabric. What you're going to do is lay your fabric down flat. Any fabric is pretty much okay, just as long as it's not stretchy, because the stretchy fabrics won't hold their shape and also it's just really hard to work with. So try to go for like a cotton fabric or something along those lines. So I'm just going to lay my fabric out and I'm going to follow the instructions on the pattern, which tell me how many things I need to cut out. Try and be smart when you're laying down your pieces because you don't want to like waste space. And by wasting space, you end up wasting fabric, you know? Like you want to try and save as much fabric as you can. Sorry, I tried recording this bit, but my phone glitched out, so I'm going to have to try and explain it to you like this. So when you get to the brim, you're going to see that it says folds here. So what you're going to do is fold your fabric over so it becomes a double-sided sheet. Then you're going to pin this fold to make sure it doesn't move and place those fold lines along the fold. That's what you're going to trace, so when you cut it out, it's going to be a full circle and that'll give you your brim. Right, so I'm a little bit of an idiot. It turns out I just drew one of my panels and turns out that one also had to be on a fold like I just explained for the other one. So pretty much everything has to be on a fold except for your top bit. So do that. I also forgot to mention I marked all my patterns out in pencils, like you can only hardly see them. Chalk would probably be easier, but pencil's what I had. Anyway, once you've got all your patterns and things like that, you're going to mark out which one's your lining and which one is your front. And then you're going to do all your patterns and things. So boppity boppity boop. It's done. Okay. That's what we got so far. I got the SAO to be the top because that was my very first anime that I ever watched fully. Got Mr. Aizawa for the band because I, again, simp. And then I've just got a more generic, like, anime thing for the brim. Anyway, that took me, like, a lot longer than I thought it would. So, jump to tomorrow where we sew it all. It's the next day and we're about to commence sewing everything together. I've just ironed the interfacing on, if you can see those little... Alright, Thunder. So now that I have all my interfacing ironed onto the lining, we can go ahead and start constructing. So the very first sewing step of construction is that we're going to sew both the lining and your pattern side wrong sides together. And I know every sewing person is like, hold up, why? The reason is we're not going to be turning these parts inside out, we're going to be turning it inside out as a whole hat. So sew those wrong sides together, trust me. Trust the process. So first we're going to start by trying to line up like our very top part with like, you know, your side brim. Not quite the brim, but the side bit. Once you have that all pinned in place, then you can go ahead and sew. Make sure they are right sides together. That way when you turn it inside out, your seam will be hidden. I also added these little details onto the brim, which is just sewing with a single straight stitch all around in multiple times, and it just makes it a little bit sturdier, but also gives it that like actual hat effect, if you get what I'm saying. But then same thing you did for the top, you're gonna do for the brim. Disclaimer, so when I said that you're gonna sew them right sides together, you are, except for the brim, because spoiler alert, this is the finished hat. This outside edge is all raw. So for the brim, sew the very outer circle bit with the right sides together, flip it inside out, and then do that like in a bit. Yeah, you win some, you lose some. But anyway, continue. And ta-da! We have made our finished bucket hat. She's not perfect. She's definitely not perfect. You know, she's kind of quirky. You know, like me. Oh Christ. Oh. So, like I said, the top I did SAO, but that's the back seam. I'll put it on. Well, I guess that, you know, people will be able to read it. I'll put it on. Oh, I look like a right driving Miss Daisy, don't I? You know what? She's still fashionable. At least it fits. That was my biggest worry, is that it wasn't gonna fit. Oh, this brim is way too big though. This is now the hat of my mistakes. Oh man, I mean, you know, as a viewpoint, like if you look at that, aesthetically she's quite pleasing. As an actual fashion accessory, I don't know if I'm gonna be wearing it out that often, let's be real. But anyway, this was my first time making it, so, and to be fair, it's not the worst thing I've ever made. I'd give it like a strong 5.5 or 6. Strong 6, you know what, because it's wearable. I'd give it a strong 6. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I will catch you in the next video. If you subscribe, so you'll be able to see it. I don't know what that was, but anyway guys, peace.